Hey, everybody, welcome to Insider Secrets. Today, we are going to be talking about how to hire, and it is a juicy one. So, if you were watching for us to come on live, I'm coming on a few minutes late because it was such an interesting topic that we got a little spicy in the rehearsal. And here comes Kate, she's joining. Yourself, like hiring a coach, hiring support, tasking out projects, all things hiring is what we are talking about today. Hey, Kate.
Hi there.
Yeah, this is such an interesting topic. I think on the surface, it kind of could feel boring, really.
Yeah.
Like, oh, hiring, like, what does that even mean? Why is that important? But it is so revelational because support of all different kinds is vital to you, the CEO, feeling at peace, feeling at ease, feeling good in your business.
I think it's boring and it's also a little bit scary as an entrepreneur and a solopreneur. Like you've built this business and it is your baby, and like no one's gonna do it as well as you do. No one like understands it as well as you do. No one like is in touch with your clients as well as you are. And it's just like, so why even bother? And then
Yeah, yeah.
and then you're drowning.
Well, another piece of that I didn't even think about is that when you're letting somebody in for the first time, they're going to see the mess, right?
It's
You're not
vulnerable.
inviting them into the living room, you're inviting them into the laundry room,
Yeah.
basically,
It's
And
true.
it's intimate,
Mhm.
right? It's really
It's so true.
intimate.
I know.
Mhm.
You're like, it is very much the laundry room. It is just a mess, and that's okay. And I think like and we'll get into this, but like working with the right people, they'll understand that. They'll know that
Well,
and expect it.
you often say, what's happening up front in a business can be very different than what's happening behind the
Yes.
scenes, right?
And that's okay. That's normal. I feel like that's with everything. I mean, you just like taking social media, that's what's
Mhm.
true. Like, and that's life and that's human. So,
Yeah, it is. I mean, the example of social media is a good one that people use filters and, they're presenting things that are running perfectly and they're not necessarily bringing out the messy parts of life.
yeah.
And in personal development, of course, we are selling results, like we're selling up leveling, and so there
Mhm.
is this pressure that we as women put on ourselves, like if I'm helping other people get results, and I need to really have it together, right? I can't be
Yeah.
making mistakes. I can't And that's not fair. And one of the main reasons it's not fair, and that kind of speaks to my part of this equation, is that if you are of the mindset that you really have to have it together, entirely together,
Mhm.
then you're actually missing out on the most important thing that you're going to get from your business, which is your own personal growth. Your growth happens within your business. You designed that business as a vehicle, as like one of the most powerful vehicles you could possibly design to bring you forward in your creative expression and in how you are supported, in how you receive money, what your money pathways are. The whole thing is an experiment, right? It's
Yes,
it's
it
an
is.
it's an experiment.
It is. And I think that when you kind of go into this thinking that you have it all, like you're good to go, your mindset's there, you're limiting yourself. You're not opening yourself or allowing yourself to be open to the growth that can happen or just like getting to that next level.
Yeah, and yet it's natural because we all have blind spots. We all have resistance. These are just two ironclad things that have been talked about since coaching began. And I love the work of Stephen Pressfield for talking about resistance and is listening. His book, The War of Art, is absolutely brilliant on that topic. What I was thinking about for my side of the equation today is how um, if you are looking at a hiring decision, let's say it's a coach or a support person, it really could be either. that I believe, and have found this to be true both as the person hiring and as the person being hired, that if you go into it playing nice and looking to create a, kind of an alliance, that you are likely to end up with more of a mini me or a friendship kind of
Mm.
relationship, and not a relationship that is going to be transformative for you, not a relationship that's going to help you. But we're wired as women to naturally create alliance. It's a survival
Yeah.
mechanism. It goes back to tribal times, right? It's like women have always needed each other. It takes a village. Like when women meet other women, it is just organic that you lean in and you look for points of like companionship. Would you agree,
Right.
Kate?
Oh
Yeah.
yeah, totally. That's a really good point. And that was not something we discussed earlier.
No.
And it's kind of made me be like, huh, that is, I see it within myself. I see it with other people that I've worked with. That's a really good observation.
Hmm. Hmm. And it's, I love it. I mean, I love
Yeah.
people, I love women. And so how can we take that natural pattern, of looking for alliances and looking for connection into a hiring decision that is going to have a huge impact on your business, on your life? And so what I thought about are some real examples from places where I have either hired a coach or someone has hired me. And so the first example that I would give is that when I have hired coaches from that perspective, from the alliance
Hmm.
perspective, I have felt loved, I have felt supported, but I have
Hmm.
not necessarily felt seen for my specific blind spots, and my resistance, because the container that was created on too surface of a level. And I
Yeah.
wasn't able to be naked enough for the person to really help me get results.
Yeah. That makes sense. That, well, like you describing that is perfect. You really need someone that can safely and kindly take you to that next level, but it's will push you to that next level.
Hmm.
And I think when you talk about looking at hiring a coach, that's something that's so important. But the question that then comes up for me is like, specifically, what am I looking for? Or like, what am I asking?
What am I
Like,
asking of the
if
coach?
I am looking, if I am, let's say I am like newer, I've never had a coach. I like have like started to really think like that little bug is in the back of my head, like, maybe you should explore this. Maybe I need like some business coaching. Maybe that would be a really good like next step. Like, where do I start? And like as I am learning about someone, and maybe on like it's like, what am I asking?
That's such a beautiful question. And I think naturally where we will go, as people who are evaluating coaches, is we're going to look at the Google reviews, right? We're going to
Yeah.
look at the results. We're going to look at the testimonials. And that does give us some social proof for sure. Like, you want to know that the person has gotten results for other people. But in all transparency, either in my experience with hiring coaches or with being hired, that's not really where you're going to get the ideal um, understanding of this person can actually help me. The way that you get that understanding is by asking hard questions, asking questions that might be uncomfortable. For example, I mean, some of these aren't going to make you uncomfortable. Like, how will I be supported in this container? How do you help your clients get results specifically? What are the principles that you operate your business on? How do you live your life? Like, tell me about your life and what you think about and what you value. Those will give you a deeper understanding of what the person can do for you. But they actually, again, don't give you the everything. The everything comes from really being brave enough. And this is scary, you guys. Like, this is a scary thing to do. Really being brave enough in the discovery process to get naked, to get
Ooh.
naked, you know?
You being vulnerable,
Hmm.
you
Yeah.
opening up
And we
and
do
see.
we do not want to do that. I heard
No.
somebody say in a yoga class years back, oh, in that relationship, I felt safe enough to show her my belly. And as soon as I heard that, I was like, whoa, that is exactly what it feels like. It's like you imagine someone like opening up their top, right? And they're like, this is like, here it is. Here's my belly button. It's this vulnerable thing. And so on a, like, what does that look like on a practical note? That's like, I haven't gotten results in the past because I had this particular problem. Like I ran into my resistance here. I had anxiety, or I was experiencing, something traumatic in my life, or
Right.
I was overburdened because I have, ADHD. Like there are things that need to be a part of a coaching relationship, and you'll speak to the support part in a moment. There are things that your coach needs to understand about you if she's going to help you get results. And I'll tell you something, a good coach has already seen it all. She has seen it all. Okay. There's
That's
nothing
true.
you can tell her that she's gotten down to the underwear with people. And so you really do want to be like, hey, this is who I am. This is who I truly am.
Right. Um, oh, that is so beautifully said, and it also is scary. Like it's making me nervous just thinking about
I
just,
know. I
being,
know.
and so I guess really sitting with yourself before you start the research process is something that you need to make time for, what I'm
Yeah.
hearing.
Well, yes, I agree with that. I mean, but I don't want to have you thinking like, oh, you need to sit down and go, there's everything's wrong
Well,
with me. These are all
no,
no.
like really, I think we're, especially as women, we're so like, okay, we got this. Like, we're just moving things forward, and oh, I'll deal with that feeling later. Oh, I'll deal with that mess later. And so it just kind of, sitting with yourself for a half hour and just being like, okay, these are the areas that like, this is where I struggle. Because that's not, I don't think that might not be always top of mind, and it's not always healthy to have that top of mind. So just like being real with yourself for a little bit before you embark on hiring, whether it is a coach or even like bringing someone into your own business in your own space, like really like reflecting on, where do I struggle that I really want help with? Where is like resistance coming up for me that I like having someone in that area, vulnerable or not vulnerable area or not, would really be helpful to me.
Well, what you're pointing out here, I think, is like what's beyond the vulnerability. And I believe for all of
Mm,
us,
that's true.
it is the opportunity, it is to land in what I would call deservedness, you know, deservedness. And so, yeah, if you can get brave enough in a discovery process to say, this has worked for me in the past, this has not, this is where I think I'm stuck, which takes, I just want to tell everyone, it takes a little bit of time to kind of put that together for yourself. It is a process to put it together, but the end of that equation is I deserve to feel good, because the people whose lives I am impacting with my work, or my family, with my increased abundance, like those people need me to feel good, because when I feel good, I get better results. I am at an amplified frequency, right? So where you are struggling is simply an opportunity to like 180 that into,
Yeah.
I either need to offload that to someone like Kate, or people on Kate's team, or I need to learn how to release it, through the work of with a coach, with some mindset techniques and self-support.
Yeah. I wonder how things are different when you are someone who has been in business for a long time and you've had different levels of support. You've not stuck with something, or someone. How is your like mindset and your approach a little bit different? So if you've like had business coaching before and you are like have just never found the right fit, do you approach it differently?
I would hope so. I mean, I certainly have, and I think everyone who is working in these industries, well, everyone really is noble. Most people are doing their very, very best. And so when a relationship doesn't work, it's often because of wrong fit, or skill sets that don't match, or differing objectives. And so when I've had coaches in the past where I didn't get the results I was seeking, I don't have any resentment toward any of those people. You know, that would just be hurting myself. It would be making myself an enemy. My feeling about it is that have learned from every experience of support that I've had, and it created discernment, which, you know, honestly, like in yogic terms, that's a very high concept. The concept of discernment, it's not something that like we're born with. You know, for
Hmm.
example, when babies are born, when babies first develop taste, you know, they like salty or sweet. Like they don't understand umami or nuance or anything like that. And so if you take that as an example, you know, in human development to the more elite art of how we develop intellectually and in our hearts, then the concept of discernment is a really beautiful one to explore. And so I've had some tough experiences with coaches, you guys. Like I'm not saying I've been burned. I haven't, blessedly, but I have had places where I've spent honestly thousands and thousands of dollars and have not gotten the results that I wanted.
Hmm.
And what those experiences taught me is what I said that started this podcast, which is I have to be more brave. I have to
Yeah.
be more vulnerable. You know, I have to say, yes, this is what I want to build. This is the vision of what I want to create. And this is where I get stuck. Or for most of us, honestly, it's this is where I think I get stuck. I need
Oh, that's a
help
good point.
figuring out where, yeah, it's
Yeah.
not necessarily where I get stuck, it's where I think I get stuck,
Right.
you know?
Oh, that makes sense. And I actually do see that a lot on the flip side when you're like hiring for yourself, for your business, not in a support role or more of like a not so much coaching, but getting like down and dirty into your business, doing the tasks. Like it is, there's times where you find the right fit and there's times when you don't, and you can kind of spin your wheels a little bit when you don't find the right level of support that you need.
Oh my gosh, yes. You know, if you have a support person who identifies certain things in your business that they think are important,
Mhm.
and they go off. I've had this happen before, you know, and they are, say, developing a whole bunch of design templates or, you know, covers for lessons and courses rather than looking at what the real metrics are that need attention.
Right.
The person that's working for you is working, but that's not moving the needle
Right.
forward, you know. And as a CEO, what can happen is that you feel responsible to those people, right? And you kind of feel like,
Yeah.
well, I got this mini empire here. And so I need to, you know, these people are my team and they're showing up at team meetings and stuff. And you can spin your wheels with
Hmm.
support. You
You really
really
can.
can. Mm-hmm.
I know. It's difficult and I think that there's a really fine line, and I think that I'm jumping ahead a touch, but it's a good point to be made. There's a fine line between being able to really invest the time and training and working with that person to like mold what you need as a team member, and when that time has been exhausted and it is like
Mm.
you need to look for maybe move team members around, or look for someone new.
Yeah, I mean, there's a courage. And again, that goes
Hmm.
back a little bit to sort of the tribal mentality, right? Of wanting to create alliances and not wanting to make difficult decisions. And so I would say this is, if you have support, it's a really good point, really good plan to also have a coach. Because if you have a coach and you're facing making some changes on your team, either restructuring positions or releasing someone, as women, we really do need to be held in that experience. Like it's just vital. You know, most women will feel like they are walking out to the end of a 20-meter diving board by themselves if they're doing things like cutting off a team member, you know, or making a really drastic decision in their business. It's just natural, you know, until over time it slowly becomes easy. I have a really good friend who uh, she used to be the chief, what's it called? Chief people officer. Okay, the chief
Hmm.
people officer for Getty Images, which is obviously a global company, you know, huge company. And she is a wonderful person. We're really good friends, but she had a skill at firing. people.
Oh,
Yeah.
that's
hmm She,
interesting.
I
I
know.
don't know if I want that skill and I don't want that skill.
I don't want it, but over the years getting to know her, it was like, oh, she really knows, like she knows how to do that. Obviously, she knows how to do many other things too to achieve that global level. But what she really understood was the importance of being able to make those hiring decisions and not like take it
That
personally.
was my question is what no having that skill on the flip side, what has she found important in the hiring side of it?
Well, she does she could see, like she just developed this razor sharp ability to understand both
Mhm.
position design, which is really vital, and as a CEO you need to learn it. Position design, and then position placement, so right fit. What is it that they say in that Wickman book, right person right seat,
Right.
right
Mhm.
person, right seat, right? And so it can be overwhelming when you are a young entrepreneur. And by young, I don't mean youth in age, but like when your business is young, to
Yeah.
feel like, oh, I need help. Like I have got to have some help in here,
Yeah.
but I don't know exactly what that person could be. And one thing that I want to encourage people to allow is just let yourself experiment a little bit. Like start with shorter contracts, ask for
Yes.
flexibility. You were going to speak to that. I think like
It was.
allowing it to be a developmental process is what I would call it.
Yes. I definitely think so many people in support positions love to start with a project. Working with someone is a relationship. It's a two-way street. As a CEO, you're getting to know that support person just as much as that support person is getting to know you. And so starting with a project or starting with, 3 months of support together and then a reevaluation time is so important. Just one, it takes a little bit of time to get to know each other. There's always, I mean, it's like any new relationship. You're like doing that, dance a little bit. Like, what do they like? What do they don't like? Like, how do we communicate the best together? Um, and so giving yourself the grace and the permission to start small. Like, that going back to Rome wasn't built in a day, just start the process. That will get the gears turning. That will start to see what you need and what you don't need ultimately.
Mhm.
Um,
Mhm.
is really important. So really starting the smaller and building, not tackling it all at the beginning. And something that's also important to look at when you're in that position to hire is that you want someone who is the expert in that area that you're struggling in
Mhm.
or that you need more support in,
Mhm.
um, for peace of mind. So
Mhm.
you know
Yeah.
that it's being handled. You don't have to second guess. And I think that they're just like if you were to be looking at a coach and hiring a coach, there's questions that you can ask as well. There's research that you can do. You can ask for examples of other projects that they've been on. You can see their testimonials. You could ask to reach out to references for other projects that they've worked on. And you can also start with a mini project if you want. Just, hey, I have, yeah, a launch coming up. How would you outline that? And pay them for their time and just see what their thought process is, see what their delivery is, see how they communicate that delivery for
Mhm.
you. So that is really helpful when you're looking to bring someone on to your team.
I love all of this. I mean, I think that another piece we didn't even talk about in rehearsal is that you guys, you have to trust your nervous system. So
Mhm.
if you were talking to somebody about a project and you feel like, whoa, my heart rate's going up and I'm getting stressed, like the body keeps score,
Yeah.
it knows. And so that is an important piece to feel is I feel warm toward this person, like I feel safe with this person. You could feel a little edgy, especially with the coach. Like a coach is going to wake you up a little bit and make you feel like, oh, can I do this? Like you want that in a coach, but you also want to feel like I can trust this person. I have a sense of trust. You are going on a date with them. You're not moving in, you're not getting married. But one of the things, so 2 points to what you just said, Kate. One is Kate makes a really good point about starter projects and it choosing expertise. And you want to have a person, if you're hiring for a project, who really understands the exact scope of that project and spells it out to you. And so you don't even have to think about it. It's like, this is the project, this is how much time it's going to take, this is how much it's going to cost. Very specific. You don't want it to be squishy. So I always look for that in subcontractors, that they understand,
Yep.
okay, what they're doing. So on the contractor piece, and thinking of it as a date. But here's the thing, your goal is to get married. Honestly, you guys, like, you are looking to have a long-term relationship. Like, you're going to get better results from your business when it has more people in it, not necessarily tons of people, but you can't do
No,
everything. We have
you
zones
can't.
of genius, competence,
Hmm.
excellence. So your goal is to grow your own expertise at evaluating resources and working with resources, discernment with resources, so that you are creating over time a seamless, trusting experience, if that makes sense.
Yes. Oh my gosh, that totally does. And you are, yes. I love everything you said, especially with the piece. It shouldn't be squishy, and you should really, trust your
Mm-hmm.
feelings around that person. I, my background is in hospitality management, and I used to always say, like, I want to understand your personality, your character. Like, I can teach you how to check someone in at a hotel. Like, that's like the easy part. It's the energy that you bring that, like, I can't teach you that. And it's the same like when we're hiring for our business. You want someone that you feel so great about, that their values align with you, that have their expertise, but like that energy piece is so important too.
Yeah, what you're saying just there reminds me of that, um, a reel I saw recently that had two sets of tuning forks next to each other. Do you remember seeing
Mhm.
this?
I don't think
And
so.
it's really kind of cool. And so the person takes a tuning fork and hits, hits, I guess, like a wand. I'm sorry, whatever it is. I'm not a musician, you guys. Hits a tuning fork with the wand, and it's, the frequencies don't match.
Mm,
Okay, they don't match. And then, and you can tell, you can feel it right away. It's very discordant. And then they move it over when they hit the one where the frequencies do match, and you can feel it in your body, like it just reverberates out, because it is an expansion. I mean,
mhm,
we know that we are frequential beings, and we're not going to turn this podcast episode into a lesson on quantum physics,
mhm,
but the reality is, you are experiencing yourself as frequency all day long. And when you're with people you love and you're hugging them and your heart is open to them, your frequency feels good. And when you're with people where you feel performative or resentful or confused, your frequency does not feel good. And it's
that's true.
really easy, you guys. It's just so freaking easy to set up a business where you are being supported wrong.
Hmm. That's
Supported
very true.
wrong. It's, I wish that wasn't true, but it just is. It just is, because if you have a performative habit in your private relationships, guess what? It's going to show up in your business too. If you are afraid to be visible in your business, you're going to hire people that are going to protect you from that. It's just your natural, it's natural. It's honestly, it's a frequential piece. And so you want to look for places where you feel loved and supported, and where somebody is like, yeah, of course you have a weak spot, but you know what, you're also a total badass over here, and so here's what we're going to do about the weak thing.
Yeah. But you said it so well. So, so well. Oh, I love that.
Oh,
And it's so like it's such an important piece.
yeah.
Um, and I do think like there is, and we don't need to get into this today, but just addressing that there's an element of bravery when you realize that those frequencies don't line up, or those energies don't line up. Maybe
Yeah.
that'll be next week how we deal with that.
Yes, it can be, because, because as in any relationship, I mean, anybody who's ever dated or had a lover, like, it's not just sunshine and roses all the time, right?
No.
Sometimes you have to work on things. And
Hmm.
as you become more nuanced, and as I said earlier, more discerning, then you begin to see, okay, this is a place where I can work on it, and I can grow it. And this is a place where, no, this resource isn't the right fit. And
Right.
Kate and I
Right.
have both been doing this for so long that I know my clients get better results out of longer containers. And
Hmm.
I know it, I know what it takes to get results, but I also understand that for a person to lean in and be, vulnerably stepping into a coaching container, they have to feel like, yes, this is it. I feel safe here. I can do this.
It's very true. It's true. That is the like step one, and then the relationship unfolds from there.
Totally. Yeah. And it's so magical,
Mhm.
right? It's so magical.
It's
Yeah.
true. It's true. And I see it on the operations piece too. There's definitely projects and they're, X amount of time, but I've worked with so many clients just over the years, just really understanding their business, and those are some of the most magical relationships.
Mm, yeah. I
Mhm.
love that word, and really life is about joy. I mean, it
Mhm.
is meant to be a positive experience. I love how Anne Lamott says laughter is carbonated holiness.
Mhm.
Carbonated
It is.
holiness.
Yeah.
And so, we're looking for creating more joy in our work and in our work lives. And you do that by opening yourself up, by learning how to ask brave questions, by testing your hiring experiences out with small projects, by being brave. Maybe as we progress in this podcast, we'll start creating show notes so we can give you guys some points on these things, and you can feel like, oh, they're talking not like they're talking too fast, but here's what I need to write down. But for
Yes.
today, I hope this is helpful to you in
Yes.
knowing you have power in your hiring decisions. You have power. You can ask questions, and you can trust your body, and you can test out small projects and, of course, look
Mhm.
at results. But most importantly, it is an intimate experience that you want to lean into and evaluate on your own, by yourself, with your heart.
You say it so well.
Oh, thank you. Thanks, Kate. Thank
Yes.
you so much for today.
Of course, this was great. And we'll see everyone here next
Next week.
week.
See you next week. Bye bye.
Bye.